All right, let's look at the paths to victory and who's winning the election. So currently betting odds on Polymarket are having Trump at 56, 43 for Harris. Here's the current betting map. Pennsylvania being a lean red, Michigan, Wisconsin being very slight. They're likely, but they're not. They're not pretty. They're pretty toss up right now. Nevada, pretty big toss up for the Dem lead. Here's the current polling. You can go and look at the 30-day average, and this is going pretty bad for Harris. She's kind of slipping, but the big problem with her is you go and look at these Polymarket odds, and most people can agree that this right here is basically certain. There's some people who are disputing about North Carolina and Georgia, but realistically, nobody really thinks that she's going to win either of those two states. Maybe something with a hurricane's going to happen in North Carolina, but here's the current map. Trump needs to win any one of these three states, which he's polling ahead of in right now in these two states. And I'll go to the top battleground polls again and show you something with Wisconsin, where as soon as this poll from last month rolls off this odds, where it was a Harris +4, Trump will then be in the lead. And we can go look at, these 30-day average. We can also look at something where Biden was +5.5 at this point in history. At the final results, Biden was +6.7. Biden underperformed polls by 6%. We can go look at Michigan right here, where Trump just pulled ahead, and the ones for Harris are the older polls. And that Bloomberg poll is obviously nonsense. Nobody respects Bloomberg. Biden was +6.7 at this time, and he underperformed. By the end of it tightened up. He only underperformed 2. North Carolina right here, Biden was winning at this point in history. You can also see the only poll for Harris was Atlas Intel, which is a very respected pollster, but this was an older poll. Most people are assuming that when Atlas gets a more recent poll, then that might turn around. In Georgia, Quinnipiac, very left-wing poll putting Trump +5. It actually seems weird because that's there. Fox News polls are always a slight lean left, usually 1 or 2 points. But again, this is an older poll, and all of these maps right here, you go and look at. She's underperforming Biden in everywhere except for Georgia. But again, people aren't really expecting her to win Georgia anyways. But in Arizona, Biden was +2.7 at this point. The final results, Biden underperformed slightly, but we can ignore the shenanigans. So Trump only needs to win one of these 3 states. There's another alternative scenario where Trump has a chance to win New Hampshire. And if he wins New Hampshire and Nevada, he could lose all 3 of those and win. He could also win Virginia, and then he doesn't even need Nevada, and he wins. Now, I think if he wins Virginia, he is automatically going to win PA. PA's harder for Kamala to, lose and for him to win Virginia. Virginia's a way harder state for Trump to win. I mean, it'd be a very weird scenario. There's also a Kamala weird thing where she could win right here and lose PA, and then right here win without PA, but by winning North Carolina. That's weird. You could also put instead of North Carolina, it could be Georgia. I think if she won either of those 2 states, she might win both of them because she'd probably just have a huge landslide. And I think if Trump wins one of them, he's going to win both of them just because they're pretty big Republican-leaning states. Pennsylvania is the really big toss-up, and realistically, by all the polling, Trump is doing great, except for the national polling, but that's been shifting towards him for a little bit. All these older polls that had Harris way up, these are all from early on. And we go and look at the latest odds right here. More polls came out today from Marist and from the Hill. So Ohio, that doesn't matter. Trump's going to win. Emerson calling a tie in Michigan. That's a pretty big win, not because it's showing a tie, but because the shift of it previously having Harris ahead, all of these polls, even the ones that are still calling ties where Harris wins, are showing shifts to Trump. Hill showing a +1 for Trump. Hill also now calling North Carolina for Trump. If I go and show you the breakdowns of each of these, basically everybody is showing a shift towards Trump. Even the ones they're still calling Democrat. And that's why a few days ago when Yahoo News put out a poll, it was a pretty big thing. So if I go to like Arizona and I look at the Hill doing this, and then I scroll down and I control F for Hill, and we go and look at, the older one. Oh, actually, there's an older one here where I had Trump +3, but that was before Harris entered. But so Trump's gotten +1 there. Let's go to Pennsylvania, where the Hill calls that Hill. So they don't really have much of them, I guess, there. But Quinnipiac, Harris +2. Let's go look at that one. So Harris was +3 previously, and she's +5 previously here. So her to drop down to +2, like that's a 3-point shift, and they're an anomaly. The Bloomberg poll's about to fall off in a few days, and then that's going to be out. That's a huge shift. So as these odds shift to Trump, you're going to see like the narrative change. We also might see another Trump assassination attempt, because some people are going to be very upset when they realize that all the latest polling is showing very heavily for Trump. There's a Hill. Let's go check Nevada real quick for that. So what was the Hill's previously poll for Harris? Okay, Hill called a tie. I guess that's 1 point. Then they called that, and then that's way back. Okay, so it looks like Hill hasn't really changed. It's been a 1-point shift from their last one. But yeah, we'll go see. I think Harris is probably gonna be pretty competitive in Nevada. I think she's gonna win Minnesota. But my actual estimated map is 312 Republican. This is what I think is going to happen. I'd love to see this. I'm not that optimistic about it. Minnesota, I think, is safe Dem, not because of Trump doing bad in Minnesota, but because Harris picked Tim Walz, which she should have taken Pennsylvania, because let me show you something. If Trump won there, but she took Josh Shapiro for Pennsylvania, you've got right here where all she has to do is just take, if Harris won these right here, Trump has to win one of those, and then she's going to do better in North Carolina because she's got somebody from the Rust Belt. She's probably going to do better in Michigan. Trump could win Wisconsin, Minnesota, and then it comes down to Nevada and New Hampshire. Those would be the big states that could affect the election. Nevada would actually be probably the most important if she took Shapiro. Like this right here is my Shapiro estimated map. Is this right here? In fact, it's possible that with Shapiro it could even play into Minnesota. But I think Shapiro would be really good for probably Michigan. I put Wisconsin, Nevada toss-ups, and even North Carolina could be a toss-up. Like, this is basically what, if she took Shapiro, what I think the map would have been. And with Trump, North Carolina is a pathway to victory. But if she won that, his pathway to victory, if he wins Nevada, he still loses. He wins Wisconsin, he still loses. His must win is both of those, because it would have been unlikely Trump could have taken Michigan if she gets a Rust Belt popular governor who's a pretty big moderate, and he's very popular with Republicans. And that would lay down to secure Virginia for her and to possibly flip North Carolina. But with Tim Walz, he's not a good candidate for her to pick for VP. And this is our Polymarket odds now, and I think that's a pretty accurate map, but I think Nevada's going to be shifting red. And I think that, this is it. This is my estimation.